Good afternoon and welcome to the Everyday Republic podcast. My name is Matthew White, the editor-in-chief of the Everyday Republic, and we're just going to be spending our time talking about some of these head news stories for the past 3 to 4 days. So let's get right into it. So Trump was booed. Well, the Huffington Post writes an article about Trump's speech in Davos, one which was extremely successful for business ventures and all that. So, um, anyway, before we talk about his success at the Davos speech, let's talk about what the press is talking. Let's talk about what the press is saying about it. So, the Huffington Post comes out with this story, right? About how Trump was booed at Davos for criticizing fake media. That's the headline, right? And they have a video attached to the top. And this video is saying, you know, this video shows him talking, and he himself said that, before I didn't realize until I ran for president how nasty, how mean, and how fake the press can be. And then apparently the entire crowd just started booing him. When in fact they played it twice, and you could so obviously hear them saying like, ooh instead of boo, as in, a burn instead of booing him, as in, boo, you suck. But you know, uh, the fake press will try to do whatever they can in order to criticize this president and criticize the amazing progress he made at the Davos speech. And to be quite honest, this speech was great for American enterprise, and it's bringing hundreds of, tens of companies, billion-dollar companies, bringing back billions of dollars in euros, of course. They're all European countries, or European companies rather, but they're bringing in billions of dollars into the country, and that'll take place sometime this year or next year, which is very good. Anyway, so let's talk about his success during the Davos speech. I watched the entire thing. It was awesome. I felt like he really got the attention of businessmen. That he was not an ordinary president. He was there to promote the American dream and promote what America had to offer. And he caught some very big fish in the water, so to speak. He got businessmen who offered to get in his country and get involved and that sort of thing. And they're bringing jobs, and we're going to have mass competition in this country yet again, it looks like. Anyway, so let's talk about this article I picked up from Breitbart about the recent immigration, the recent immigration talks that's been going on. Trump's amnesty plan. Personally, I think that he just offered to throw out or to keep almost 2 million immigrants, illegal immigrants, and give them all citizenship because this type of strategy worked so well for him in the past, where he says one thing, and the Democrats, of course, fall for his trick and tell him exactly what they want in return. Uh, and he's like, you know what? No. So, uh, but what this Breitbart article says. It's talking about the illegal immigrants, even in the face of Trump offering almost 2 million people amnesty. This is what he says, or yeah. So this week, illegal aliens stormed Capitol Hill and demanded that Congress legalize President Barack Obama's unconstitutional Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, aka DACA, program, as well as the broader DREAM Act. They were outraged that Democrats caved to President Donald Trump and the GOP by reopening the government on Monday without legalizing DACA or providing legal status for millions of Dreamers who came to the U.S. as minors. Now, on this, the Democrats caved in, not because they didn't care about the Dreamers, which they never did in the first place. They just cared about importing Democratic voters over the borders. They don't care about the Dreamers. I guess in that sense, yeah, sure, they'd care about the Dreamers as long as they vote Democrat. But on a more general note, the Democrats caved in because they were under immense pressure by some of their Democratic base, some of the people who voted on CNN that the government shutdown was all their fault, even though they tried to push it on Trump, calling it the Trump shutdown. It was actually the Schumer shutdown, and everybody knew it. All the polls showed it, and so they caved. They also caved because their position was entirely unpopular. People valued American citizens over illegal immigrants, and they should have known that before they shut down the government. But they had another chance, and they had to cave because they knew that this was going to take away some of their voters. That the fact that they're putting illegal immigrants above the interests of ordinary Americans. And Tucker Carlson on Fox News has talked about this a lot. And nobody can answer his questions about why giving illegal immigrants, people who are here illegally, why giving them amnesty will help the interests, and not only the interests, but the lives of ordinary Americans. Nobody could answer that because they don't have an answer. So, but anyway, on to the article. But the DACA kids do not simply lobby elected representatives, as Americans typically do. Instead, they staged a mock funeral in the Capitol building at which they accused Republicans of killing the dreams of our people. I think... what are they talking about? Killing what dreams? Killing your dreams of amnesty? Because the Democrats caved in, and okay, so, but that still doesn't make any sense. Whatever. So they invaded and occupied the Senate office of Senator Tom Tillis, a Republican from North Carolina, mind you, who actually favors amnesty for Dreamers. He favors this. Keep in mind, folks, this man favors amnesty. And they went in there and shouted, F this conservative, F this person. and the staff just didn't do anything. They were kind of confused, as everyone else in the country was. The Dreamers even hurled racial abuse at Senator Marco Rubio, the Republican senator from Florida, whom they accused of white passing. What is white passing? Is it passing while white? I don't know. Anytime you try to reason with these people, it's the same thing with, uh, like that somehow there's white supremacy. Somehow just because you're white means you're a white supremacist, or just because you don't want illegal immigrants in this country makes you a white supremacist. And you can't reason with unreasonable people. But anyway, so the article goes on. Not content with attacking Republicans, the DACA kids also protested outside the home of Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Democrat from New York, the Minority Leader in the Senate. Wow. Chanting in Spanish and English, "If he won't let us dream, we won't let him sleep." Okay. Hold on. So, if he won't let us dream, we won't let him sleep. So, so their dream is to become U.S. citizens then, supposedly. Honestly, I think their dream is just to disrupt the minority leader's sleep schedule. But I guess their dream now is to gain citizenship. I guess that was always how it is. But listen, what is not letting a senator sleep gonna do? Be reasonable. If you go up to a dog and hit the dog, would you still expect him not to bite you? If you go up to to a minority leader's home, somebody who's already on your side, somebody who's trying to fight for you, and you shout in the middle of the night and you won't let him sleep, you think that's going to help you? How? How is that going to help you? It's not. You can't. You can't. Start. You can't poke a stick at a lion and expect him not to eat you. Or mess with a snake and expect it not to bite you, or still not bite you. It's gonna bite you if you mess with it. Same thing here. Chuck Schumer's liable to not. Chuck Schumer's liable to not fight for you anymore if you won't let him sleep and if you disrupt him. I don't like him, again, but why are they doing this? Again, completely unreasonable people. It goes on, talks about how these DACA kids are actually becoming bullies towards white people and towards black people and towards anybody who does not want all of them to be granted citizenship. And then finally at the end it says, bizarrely, after a day of radical protest, Trump proposed to legalize 1.8 million Dreamers, more than twice the number of DACA beneficiaries. Instead, he should have taken legalization off the table until the kids behave. Personally, I was once open to legalizing DACA in return for a border wall first and other provisions. But the DACA kids have convinced me that we should only consider legalization on a case-by-case basis, if at all. If we reward their tactics, we will not acquire new countrymen, but new bullies. That's a powerful last sentence because it's true in the sense that the DACA kids are bullies and they don't want to help us. All they want to do is disrupt. They feel entitled to they feel entitled to citizenship, and what do they expect us to just give it to them? The, listen, I'm sympathetic to dreamers, and I'm sympathetic to these kids, but uh, we've got problems of our own, and legalizing we're focused on legalizing people who aren't even supposed to be here in the first place. We've got other problems. And these people, I'm sorry if you came here at 16 months or 16 years old. Uh, it's not our fault that your parents just decided to hop over the border. They weren't supposed to be here either. So, if we had better border security, then uh, your parents wouldn't have never gotten over the border, mind you, with you tagging along, and you wouldn't be here to complain about amnesty. But the thing is, you are so entitled to citizenship uh, that you don't see the bigger picture. You don't see that we have our own problems. Just like Mexico, just like China, just like the rest of Latin America, wherever the illegal immigrants came from, uh, it is not our job to figure out how to give you guys amnesty when we've got our own problems and when you're not supposed to be here in the first place. Don't misunderstand. I want legal immigration. In fact, I would advocate for legal immigration and an increase in immigration, but not illegal immigration. We have a legal process. But what's happened, and I've taken a notice to this, is the Democrats have made it preferable to be an illegal immigrant, to be illegal. Uh, take the citizenship process, right? So there are millions of people on the wait list, probably. Maybe I'm wrong in the margin of error, but there are a lot of people on the wait list to become citizens. And uh, so say a family of four goes up and wants to become citizens. They all want to live here and become citizens. So they apply for citizenship. Uh, well, what happens? What happens after that? So they're put on a list, and they're usually citizens within 6 to 9 years. 6 to 9 years, and that is not an exaggeration. It'll take people, sometimes a decade to become a United States citizen through the bunches of paperwork, the naturalization test, the entire process of naturalization, and you can just cross the border. You have the option of a decade of waiting, or you can cross the border and be given full government support, full government benefits, because a lot of these illegal immigrants are good, hardworking people, but there are some who just get over the border and get on government benefits. There was a study by the Washington Examiner, it was probably the middle of last year. No, it was October of last year, I'm pretty sure, that said the cost of illegal immigrants was approximated at $75 billion. The cost of the amount of money illegal immigrants give to the economy was $16 billion, making the grand total about, 54 to $60 billion that American citizens have to pay every year for illegal immigration. And that's too bad. We've had this immigration problem for probably 100 years. It's been about 100 years. Since we've opened our borders, we've had this problem. And it's terrible. I wish we could help the immigrants become citizens of the United States, but they're illegal. They're not supposed to be here, and they don't like us. Obviously, they've told us that. So life goes on, I suppose. Just a quick thing before we head out. Actually, two articles. I'm getting a little bit behind here, but so an article came out from the gatewaypundit.com. Adam Schiff panics over FISA memo, demands Twitter investigate into Russian bots, pushing hashtag release the memo campaign. If you guys will remember, Adam Schiff is a Democrat representative out of California, and Senator Dianne Feinstein is also helping Representative Schiff to push this investigation into Twitter and Facebook to find the evil Russian bots who are pushing the hashtag release the memo campaign. And so this article I found funny. If you guys want to check it out, just go to thegatewaypundit.com and you'll be able to find it real quick. Just once you get there, just look up Adam Schiff. I'm sure it'll be the first one up there. So one of my favorite parts of this article was Adam Schiff, and it says, quote, Adam Schiff and the Democrats do not want this 4-page FISA memo to be released to the public. Schiff previously blasted the FISA memo in a statement to CNN, calling it, saying that the memo is profoundly misleading set of talking points drafted by Republican staff attacking the FBI and its handling of the investigation. He also implied Americans are too stupid to understand the contents of the memo. Now, that may be a little bit of spin, but I can imagine that coming out of Adam Schiff. Seeing that when he was confronted on Tucker Carlson about the Russian hacking into John Podesta's emails, John Podesta couldn't come back and retaliate to the point where when Tucker asked him to look at the camera and tell the audience that we know that John Podesta's emails were hacked by Russian institutions, and Schiff could not do it. He instead looked at the camera and said Russians were behind the hacking of our institution, whatever that means. Because he works for Congress, so I don't know why Russians would hack Congress, or the House of Representatives, rather. But, whatever. Anyway, so they Schiff and Feinstein released letters to Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, CEOs of both Facebook and Twitter, and they want both of these men to look into Russian efforts, quote unquote, to push the Release the Memo campaign. And anyway, so that's all there is to that. I would like to say more, but quite frankly, I'm running low on time. So let's do this. All right. So, believe it's the Senate. Yep, it's the Senate Intelligence who is slamming, or not, pressing Podesta and other Democrats about the dossier, the Trump dossier, and related contacts. Because of the FISA memo, this opens up a new world of, Clinton corruption and all that, destroying President Trump. So, they're saying, what will come out of this FISA memo, and of course the Podesta and his spokesman are, denying that there's anything in there, and that the public won't understand it, and so, we'll just have to see. And it's a really good article, and you guys should check that out at thedailycaller.com. It's at the front page. And anyway, that looks like all the time we have left. Thank you guys for listening in to this podcast, the ER podcast. If you want to read more or support this podcast, just head on over to www.theeverydayrepublic.com, and I would love it if you guys went and supported me there. I'm also looking for volunteer work on the website. So if any of you guys are interested, just contact me. There's I believe an email at the bottom of the page, and if you guys would like to volunteer, then I would absolutely appreciate that. So again, if you want to support the site, or if you just want to submit some news stories, then go to www.theeverydayrepublic.com, or do an organic search for The Everyday Republic, and it should be the first one. Anyway, so this has been Matthew White, the Editor-in-Cheif of The Everyday Republic, and I will see you guys in our next podcast.